Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's Saturday morning. You know what that means. Grab your coffee, buckle up, sit back. You're in for a treat today. That's for sure. I've been waiting for a while to get our guest today on the show. I'm going to be joined by Amy Tiemann from TM1 Properties in Austin. And I'm excited about that. But before we do that, I just want to remind you or ask you, what are your intentions? Did you start your day today intentionally? How about your week? I just did a post here over the last couple of weeks that talked about it being halftime, and it is. We got through the first two quarters of 2022. Things have been pretty robust in the multifamily space and continue to grow. And I ask, are you where you want to be right now? Are you at the point that where you want your business to be, where you want your education to be, where you want to be personally? I always say we don't grow professionally till we grow personally. So, but have you been looking at your intentions? Do you need to take some time maybe and sit back and just think about the first couple of quarters here this year, what worked, what didn't work, and reevaluate going forward so that when you finish out 2022 here, you finish it out as strong as you want to finish it out. I'm glad that you're here today because I know that we're going to just pack this next few minutes full of information and knowledge. We're going to talk capital raise. We're going to talk multifamily scaling. So I'm glad that you're here today. If you're new to the show, please go get somebody else. Tell them to come and listen in. Also, I ask that you would follow us on social media, anywhere where you get your fix: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You'll find us there. And you'll also find our guests there all over the place. I'm amazed all the time when I see how active Amy is on social media. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. We love to bring relevant content all the time and bring new guests and new information. So without getting any deeper into this, I'm going to bring our guest in. Hey, Amy, good morning.
Hey, how are you? How are you?
So glad you're here. I've been trying to get you on my show for a while, and our schedules really connected.
Yeah, you and I getting together is like herding cats, Mike. I'm sure.
Perfect. That's a great way to put it.
Yep.
And I'm excited about this because I think that I always go into this wondering what I can learn, because I think in this space that we can always learn something new from somebody else, or from our peers and people we hang out with. So I'm glad you're in my space. That's for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, so I always start my show, Amy, with one question. And I think I'm going to write a book on this one of these days, but I want to know, in one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
Okay. Well, if you were to ask anybody and that knows me longer than like 5 seconds, I think the one word they'll describe me as is blunt.
Wow. 300 episodes. I don't think anybody's ever said that.
Yeah. I mean, it's how I approach life. I don't mess around. I don't like to mince words. I don't like to waste time. And blunt is blunt. And now I will say, as I've aged and learned a little bit, I've become nicer in my bluntness because I used to be blunt and ugly to people, but now I'm like a nice blunt. So yes. Yeah.
That's good. That's awesome. I'll never forget the first time that we connected, and that was on Clubhouse.
Oh yeah.
And you and I kind of like had a little disagreement on something.
We did. Yeah, I remember.
And I don't know that it was even a disagreement. It was just a difference in opinion.
Yeah.
And I remember getting off Clubhouse that day going, God, who was that? And you're right. As we age, right, we've kind of grown on each other. So that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I enjoy sharing those stages with you. I mean, it's really kind of an interesting, environment on Clubhouse, right? Because people don't get to, they get to listen to you talk and share. And all those great things. And everybody comes up with like, you can go down one rabbit hole or another rabbit hole or go in a different direction. And like, why even put up a topic, like, it just depends on what people want to hear. Right. Or
Why
talk
bother?
about.
Why bother?
Yeah.
Hey, so let's do this. Why don't we start by you just giving some background on yourself, what you used to do and how you got in this crazy world and what you're up to.
Well, so I'm now a full-time multifamily investor and developer and fund manager now. And I got into real estate investing a long time ago. It was about 18. It was 14 years ago. Prior to that, 5 years prior to that, I was a general contractor. So I've been technically in commercial real estate for 19 years. I started as a GC. I was a commercial contractor building retail stores across the U.S. I mean, at one point we were in 16 states building retail stores and for several different brands. Along that journey, we started real estate investing. 2008, like the Great Recession, we started picking up cheap houses. And we started single family because every GC somehow becomes a house flipper at some point. They all just kind of try it. So we started flipping homes and then got into single family rentals and did that for a couple of years and then got into multifamily in 2010. And started in Austin, Texas, and bought some, did a syndication group, and we went and bought some. And I'll say I started as a limited partner. I wasn't the syndicator on the first one, and we were an LP, and we were also the general contractor on the job. So we put in money in the deal, and then we were also the GC. And so I was very active as a limited partner because we were there day one, doing demo, doing all those great things. And then we continued on that path, doing some other investing. And then all of our other buddies that were buying multifamily at the time found out that we were renovating it. So I ended up probably renovating 50 or 60 apartment complexes around in Central Texas. So I did that for a while we were doing the national, like the retail construction too. We started a multifamily group and that was renovating that. So yeah, we were busy and for a long time. And then 2015, we said, okay, construction for other people sucks and it's same problem, different day. And so sayonara, y'all, we're not going to do construction for you anymore. And we're just going to do full-time real estate investing. It was me and my husband at the time. And then I ended up getting divorced in 2017. And then I just kept going. And I just kept buying real estate. This is what I want to do. I didn't want to change, careers. Didn't want to do anything. So I've been full-time, I have a full-time investment company and that's what we do. We buy multifamily and develop multifamily. So that's kind of who I am.
Awesome. And I know that you have a lot of experience around raising private capital.
Yeah.
That's really your niche, would you say?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the hamster wheels I live on. Yes. I mean, you chase deals and you chase money. So yes.
Yeah. I think that, the more involved I get in this business and the more people I talk to, I think that, everything we do is a function of capital.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things I always try to work with people on is teaching them, build relationships from day one, start getting to know people, build your database and, work on raising capital right out of the gate, even if you don't have a deal. And the one comment you always make, which I think is really a smart comment, is that the best time to raise capital is in between deals when you don't have a deal you're raising for. Why do you say that?
Because it takes to develop a relationship with somebody that's going to give you money. It's not like I can go, hey, Mike, I never met you. Will you give me 50 grand? Like, it's like, I got to build a relationship with you, right? So you got to network with people. You got to rub elbows with them. You got to like hang out with them and get them to like you. Right. Yeah. So you constantly have to be doing it all the time. You need to be networking with people. You need to be talking about your experience. You need to be branding yourself and marketing yourself and building up your investor database. So it doesn't matter if you have a deal or not. It talks about this is what I'm doing. We're always looking for a deal. So, hey, if you're interested, build, and you need to curate that list. Right. And so we build up our investor database. I mean, we add investors to it all the time. We get them through multiple sources, all the great things, but we try to curate that list because sometimes when somebody comes in from say Instagram wherever they come in, they don't know me from boo, right? So
Yeah.
we try to send out a lot of information to them to kind of let them realize who we are and what we try to do and kind of the investments we're chasing and share knowledge, right? That's the best thing you can do for anybody who's interested in real estate investing. Because no, Mike, you and I have been doing it forever and a day, right? But there's not been a lot of people that have the experience that we have, right? I mean,
Stop
we've been
Stop dating me, making me.
It's all right. I'm just as old as you are, dude. But it's the cycles. That's the experience that nobody has right now. Unless you've been doing it longer than, 10 years, you've not been through a real estate cycle. We've not been through one since '08. So if you, if you were buying, I bought my first official house back in 2000, right? And then 2001 happened. That was great. So if you haven't been through those cycles and haven't been buying real estate, you don't know. And so all these jokers that got into it in 2017, they don't know what's head their way. They have no clue.
Yeah. One thing I always say is, real estate agents today, and just, kind of as a side note, real estate agents today have had it pretty easy. They put these houses on the market and they sell like that. And, now with the market starting to shift and change and us going into higher interest rates and inflation, I think a lot of people are going to be in for a pretty big surprise when they figure out, hey, I got to go to work. And what does that mean? Because I got in the business, interest rates were 17%. So, and then, we had just come out of a cycle. And then that was 91. Then I think 97 something happened, 97, 98, and then 2001.
Yep.
So, I've experienced a few of those myself. Hey, so let's talk. So here's what I want you to talk about. You just said something. You said when somebody comes to your website off of Instagram or some other social media platform, they go to your website, they check you out. What? So you say you inundate them with information then. What type of things do you send to them? What do you give them to let them know about what?
So it's different. So we try to be, curate, the content we try to provide is hopefully valuable. I'm not going to spam you like some other jokers that, his first name is Grant, who might, send you emails 5 times a day. I don't want to do that. I don't want to implode your email box, but I do want to provide you content. And sometimes what we try to do is either put it on the website itself if we can, so they don't have to get it in an email. And, but we do try to give them educational stuff. We try to talk about the deals that we're doing, because sometimes understanding a deal alert, and that's educational too for folks. If they understand markets and they get to learn about markets and why we like a certain market over others, or why we like this market, that's all education. So that's what we try to send out. And some of the stuff is, based on the markets that we're in. So I send a lot of Texas stuff. I sent out stuff about the high-speed rail project and some other economic things that are happening that we can kind of see going on, even though it might not be multifamily related or the stuff that I hang out in, but understanding that the office market in Austin, Texas is on freaking fire. Why? I don't know. But there's probably because a lot of the companies are following where the millennials are, and there's a ton of millennials here because that's going to be the majority of their workforce. So they're following the millennials and relocating to where they are. And so, but that means eventually translates into housing, right? Because if companies are moving here for one reason or the other, it does make sense. So understanding, and I try to give out tips and tricks and stuff, and, because I have a coaching program, and I don't do, and no offense to anybody who does, I know, Mike, you do, and you try to help people as much as you can. I don't. So I just try to educate through kind of what I see, kind of what I'm thinking, and just kind of do it that way. So I try to educate as best as I can. Yeah.
Are you ready to skyrocket your investment portfolio and leave a legacy? Are you tired of inconsistent returns received in the stock market? Then it's time you take a look at alternative investment options like a passive investment in multifamily real estate. No tenants, trash, or toilets. Just a solid return on an annual investment, including quarterly returns along the way. These lower risk and secure assets are also a great hedge against inflation. If you want to hear more about these types of opportunities, email me directly to schedule a 15-minute consultation to see if you qualify. You can email me at mike@mycoreintentions.com. Yeah, and as much as
A lot of stuff is all about providing value up front. And if you provide value up front to people, they'll return in kind. Usually they do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so talk about the first time you raised capital. What was that like for you? How I know we both go, ooh.
Yeah, I know. That was so much fun. It was a small raise. It was 1.5 million, and that seems like a small raise to me. There's some people would be like, oh my gosh, that's such a lot of money. And it was for an asset I was buying. And actually I was in one of the guru groups. I was in one of the groups. And because I was in one of the groups, it was fairly easy-ish to do because it's like, okay, I'm not against guru groups. I'm against bad guru groups. I'm against the ones that become toxic and have you drink Kool-Aid and like they're the only thing that you can ever, those that are very, tend to isolate themselves from everyone else. And you have to be in this group and you can't invest with anybody else. And you can't do this and you can't do that. And they put all these restrictions on you on how you structure your deals. And it's all illegal. They can't sit there and tell you how to structure a company to go buy an asset, right? But they'll try. And so that's like, so like SEC goes, but anyway, a lot of those groups try to do it in the guise of educating you on how the structure should be, but then a lot of them just limit you on how you do it. So anyway, so some of them are bad, some of them are good, some of them are whatever. But when you're in a group of people who are all interested in real estate investing, those are very easy places to go raise capital because they're all interested in it. You don't have to educate them, right? They're all there getting educated. So they're sophisticated because they're all there getting educated. And then you can build your investor related. So a good friend of mine was in 6 of them. Like he didn't care. He had to go raise capital. So he went and found 6 of them and joined them all. And that was how he raised his first deal. I raised it from one group, but that's when you're first starting out. That's the easiest way to raise capital. And you can, and you're having those monthly meetings, right? So they really kind of get to know you and you can build the relationships and you're all learning together and it's great, right? It's great. Yeah. As long as the group is not crazy, like some of those are crazy, but yeah.
Yeah. But some people, whether you're in a good group or a bad group, there are the people like yourself that emerge, right?
Yeah.
And then there's others that say, boy, I can't figure this out or I can't do it, right? Yeah. This doesn't work. Yeah. Well, would you say, and this is my opinion, but would you say that you have to take the action and consistently be able to take no as well as you can take somebody saying yes to you, right?
Yes, you're in sales like that. And I was truly, at the end of the day, you're selling an investment to people, right? And you're selling yourself. And, and luckily I was an entrepreneur prior to getting into it. I mean, I'd been an entrepreneur for a while. So being told no, okay. I'm a woman. I was a woman in construction. You know how many times I got told no? People looked at me like I sprouted another head when I told them I was a GC. Like, really? You are? I'm like it doesn't, it's second nature to me now that I have to build credibility and I do it inherently, but it's, but yeah, you get told no all the time. And so for people starting out to being a sponsor or trying to, and really you're a sponsor, you're leading a real estate investment company. You're the CEO of a real estate investment company. So you just need to understand, and your customers are your investors, and what you're selling to them is an investment, and you're going to get told no over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And you know what? Wah, like stop crying, like go find the investors that are going to invest with you. And if they don't invest with you, then figure out why. Ask them why. Go, hey, why did you choose not to invest with me? Because that's like the biggest education you're going to get. Like, what do I have to go fix so that you will invest with me? And sometimes they'll lie to you to your face, and sometimes they'll give you actual good, honest feedback. And that's like, I love it. Like I say this all the time. Anybody who gives me good, honest feedback, even though it breaks my heart and hurts my feelings and all that other stuff, first of all, you got to get over that too. You can't get your feelings hurt. Right. but it's like a gift. They're telling you what everybody else is talking about you about behind your back, right? They're telling you this is what you need to go do. And even though it might come out, gross, like it's not the most, nicest thing, but at least they're telling you what it is, right? So like that's always a good thing, right? So I think it's an interesting thing. So if you try to find out what the no's are and why the no's are, then you can go fix that stuff. And maybe sometimes you can't fix it. You can't fix track record, right?
Yeah,
You can't fix experience, but you just go get more, right?
well, yeah, you can fix it by getting more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Continuing to do it.
Yeah.
So, I always tell
you
people,
can partner with people that have it, and you can sell those people that have it. I mean, you can always partner your way into a deal to give you what the holes that you don't have. You could always do that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I always tell people, I say, look, I made 20,000 phone calls a day when I was selling residential real estate, or not a day, but a year. To sell 125 listings, right? And so how many no's are you willing to take, and how far are you willing to go? So hey, so here's what I want to know. So you speak a lot at a lot of different events. You do a lot of social media, posting of TM1 properties and your company. You go to a lot of networking events.
Yeah.
What's your best resource? Where do your most investors come from those platforms that you use? I always say, hey, if you're fishing, have more than one line in the water, and that's what you do. But which line catches the most investors for you?
Well, it's funny you asked this question, because I just had my social media marketing person do an analysis of that. Like, we're source attributing where investors are coming from, right?
I love Chantel, by the way.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. Yeah, and so, but this was a person on my staff actually I just hired, which is kind of awesome. And so she went through and looked at everything. Like, okay, let's look at all your investors and where are they coming from. And I will say, your social media is by far not going to be it's for brand awareness is what it's for. It's not, people aren't going to come to you from Instagram. They might come to you from LinkedIn, sort of, but it's an investor who wants to give you money. So it's really through all relationships. So I find that I am in an investment group now. I get investors from there, and I get them from conferences and being on stages and networking with people, doing the old-fashioned old way of doing it, where you're rubbing elbows and changing business cards. That's where I get most of my investors. Honestly, truly. So the social media is not that you don't do it. Oh, yes, you do. You do it. And it's all about brand awareness and putting your brand out there and doing all those great things. But it's a necessary to validate you, if that makes any sense. So they want to know that you're real. They just met you at a conference. So they're going to go check out your website. They're going to make sure you've got some sort of, your LinkedIn better be freaking spot on and have stuff going on your LinkedIn. Facebook, not so much. Twitter, they'll check you out on Twitter, and they'll check you out on Instagram. And not so much on Instagram, but LinkedIn for sure. Like that site is really helpful. And so you just make sure that looks really good, so that they go, oh, okay, then she's really real, and she's not a fly-by-night kind of person, and we can kind of see her and kind of see what she's posting about, so we can get more sense of her because they just met you. So it's another way to curate the relationship, and that's what social media is for. It's not to pull somebody from, like, I wouldn't get somebody going, hey, I just met you on Instagram, let me give you 50K. Like, that's not going to happen. But, or even on LinkedIn, like, I wouldn't do it there, but we would maybe start the relationship there, and then I might go meet them, or I might go get them on a call, or get on a Zoom and build a relationship from there. So I guess you can source attribute it to LinkedIn, which you need to have. But eventually you build a relationship inherently or naturally, and then over time. And that's what a lot of people don't get. Capital raising takes a long time. It takes a long time. It's not overnight. And that was like a big lesson I learned, because when I got into one of my deals and it got hit by Hurricane Harvey, one of my deals did. And I was trying to do everything I can for those investors. And so what I did was I hunkered down. I didn't go chase any other deals because it was in trouble. Like, it was in trouble. So I didn't go chase any other deals. I was just staying at that one property, trying to do everything. But the biggest thing I did was I stopped marketing myself. And because I stopped marketing myself, to actually get back out there where people like, because I went to go buy another deal and, I go submit out my offering to go capital raise. And they're like, Amy, who the hell are you? Like they hadn't heard of me in a long time because I was like hunkered down trying to do the right thing for this, which is honorable, but you got to market yourself and don't do that and shoot yourself in the foot. Because it takes 9 to 12 months of consistent marketing. Everybody, it takes longer than you think it's going to take. Oh, I've been doing it for a month. Everybody should know who I am. Whatever. You have to be doing it consistently for years. And then people will eventually figure out who the hell you are. And then they might invest with you, especially if you're trying to get into higher net worth people or family offices or people like that. Those relationships take a long time. That's for sure.
For sure. I always say massive action causes massive results. So, you just take the repetitive action, build on the mundane everyday fundamentals, and it happens over time. One last question on this capital raise piece. Do most of your investors come from the Austin market or other markets?
All over the place.
Okay.
I got from California, New York, and just all over the place. Yeah. Florida, everywhere. Yeah.
All right. Interesting. So let's talk about team a little bit. I know you refer to your team often, and you just hired somebody new for your staff. Talk about that. Tell us about your team.
So as you scale and grow in a real estate investment services company, like that's just what we're doing, right? There's certain functions that take place that necessitate you having somebody to pay attention to it, right? So there's things like investor relations, and then there's asset management, and then you got acquisitions, right? And then you've got your marketing folks. And so we have a team of 9 people. And I've got legal and a CFO, right? You got all of these different people. So there's me, I'm the CEO, and I have a chief legal officer, and I have a CFO. And then I've got a couple of I've got an investor relations person. I've got 2 marketing people. One's a marketing operations person because you have a CRM and you really need someone who can do coding and workflow automations and all those great things. So I have her. And then I have a social media person. And she's on my staff now. And then I have an asset manager / construction manager. He does both. So because a lot of the stuff that we do is very construction heavy. So the asset management really is a tie on to the construction management that we do. Okay. So, and those are the folks I have on my team. Right. And an acquisitions manager too. So that she's out there looking for deals along with me. I'm always looking for deals, but those are the functions you really need to have if you're doing a real estate investment company. Those are the things you need to have. I mean, because you're looking for deals and you're looking for money, and then you got to you got to keep the investors that you have happy, and you have to maintain those relationships. And so, those are the kind of the things, those functions that we have to have, and then you can build them out as you grow. The investor relations teams might get bigger. The acquisitions team might get bigger. Asset management team might get bigger if we have more and more properties. But those functions are the same, right? Those functions are the same. So,
how many of those people are employees versus just being, part of your team?
9 of them, they're all employees. So
they're all employees. Okay.
All employees. Yeah. Okay. Except for my legal operations guy is, he's a partner. So, but he's my chief legal officer. So yeah, but he's also a partner in the general partnership. Yeah.
And everybody work there in Austin or?
No, I don't give a rat's about where you live. You can live in like Portland, Oregon, as long as you do your job. I don't care. So most of my folks are remote. Even the people that live in Austin work at their houses.
Yeah, nice. How about technology? Talk about your technology a little bit, because if you've got people remote, how does that all work?
So we have, we use Zoom, right? We have meetings. We have a daily standing meeting, and Monday through Friday, and we meet every morning, and we go through projects and we go through stuff. And I have, I meet with a construction manager. So we have a development pipeline meeting. We have our meetings, but they're all through Zoom. So my construction manager, asset managers in Houston, my investor relations managers in Houston, right? My legal guys in Houston too. So I got 3 people in Houston. They don't go to an office. They just kind of hang where they hang. And I got some folks in Austin, and I've got, like, so 3 or 4 of them are Austin, but then we never come to an office. So we just do a lot through Zoom and email and phone calls and whatever we need to do to get stuff done. That's for sure. And we use so there's a central hub that we have for like managing projects and stuff. And it's called Asana. And we use Asana to kind of keep us straight on all the different projects we have going on and all the tasks that are oriented. We can manage the team that way. So that's like our central hub as far as getting tasks done. We use Asana for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing you talk about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been amazed by this because you are so passionate about it. But you always use the term asset management.
Yes.
So talk about asset management, but and then also talk about the difference between property management and asset management.
Sure. So the reason why any property is not performing, and nobody's going to believe this, but the reason why any property is not performing is because they have a bad asset manager, not a bad property manager, a bad asset manager. Because the asset manager's job is to stay on top of the property manager to make sure that it performs, right? It should never get to a place where it's not performing. If you have a good asset manager, they're going to catch stuff way ahead of time so that that you can like mitigate. And it's like being a GC. It's stop cutting stuff off at the path before it gets too bad, right? Like you do this you mitigate risk all the time, and you're trying to prevent things all the time. And that's what an asset manager does, right? And so asset management really has, for me, it's more involved than a lot of people, but really has several functions, right? It's the partnership level accounting. There's a big financial piece to asset management that a lot of people don't know. It's like if you audit the property manager's financials to make sure that they're right. Because, lovely be like the property manager doesn't hire the most brightest bulb in the box when it comes to accounting. They get a bookkeeper that doesn't know how to do journal entries, right? I mean, this is the stuff you face, right? So your asset manager really has to have a really good financial head on them to understand. I mean, they don't have to have a degree in accounting, but at least they understand it to know that, oh yeah, that's allocated wrong and that needs to be CapEx. And this is our CapEx policy. Please follow it. And things like that you need to kind of maintain. So the financials that you actually produce, because you're producing the financials to the partnership. So the property manager is going to give you a section of it, and then you have to turn around and present it. So that is all asset management function, right? But then we also do the differences between property management and asset management is your property manager needs to stay in the weeds. That's their job. That's what they should be good at. They should be dealing with the tenants. They should be dealing with the work orders. They should be dealing with all that other stuff, focused inherently, toward the property, right? They don't need to be picking up their nose and looking around and checking out what's going on over here. Nope, they need to be here, right? The asset manager's job is pick up their nose and look around and see what the threats are, see what the opportunities are. I don't make my property managers do comp surveys. I want them talking to the tenants. I want them maximizing revenue. I want them looking at the properties to kind of see what's going on. I set pricing. I get my business analysts to go do comp surveys. I don't want them focused on that. I want them to make sure that the properties are maintained so well that everybody walks up, oh, this is a really pretty property, right? That's what I want them to do. And to deal with the tenants and make the tenants happy. That's kind of what I want. So I'll do all the data analysis, right? I'll go look at comp surveying and we'll have a pricing discussion. And when it was moving really fast, we were having pricing discussions almost like every week. But, that's kind of the asset manager's job. They need to be kind of up here and the property management needs to be down here. And you have to have both, because if you don't have both, then the performance of the property will suffer.
So what kind of KPIs do you have as an asset manager? What types of KPIs are you watching?
There's different ones at different stages. So like I do value add, right? So early on in the value add phase, I'm more focused on turns and how fast we're doing turns. And the day of, I'm tracking the day of somebody moves out to the day of somebody moves in, and how do we compress that time cycle, right? Mm-hmm. I look at that. I look at marketing traffic and all of those kind of great things, right? You're looking at, okay, how are we marketing ourselves and branding ourselves, and is that stuff working, right? Because that's gonna help you turn and stabilize the property, right? We're looking at stuff like that. After you get it stabilized, which is a good majority of the time that you're in the property, right? After you get it stabilized, you should stabilize hopefully in a year, maybe 2, maybe 18 months, depending on how heavy the lift is. Then you're going to sit in it for like 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5 years, right? So during that time, I look at different things. I look at tenant satisfaction. I look at delinquency, right? Because those are the levers that change, that move things, right? I try to find the metrics that matter, right? And delinquency is one. If I'm beating you up every day on delinquency, you're going to get sick of me, number one, and you're going to go talk to the tenants, number two. And then the next time you actually, I don't know, put a tenant in a unit, you're going to be damn sure that they aren't going to be delinquent, right? Because I'm beating you up every day on it, right? Like, what the hell? Why is this delinquency so high? And we set a stupid, unrealistic goal, but I try to get them to force them to get to it. I want the delinquency after the 10th of the month to be $1,000 or less. I don't care the size of it, right? I want we need the money in the bank. You want me to pay your payroll? Get the money in the bank. Don't let them be delinquent, right? And so and obviously during COVID we couldn't do that, but in normal times you push that number. Right. And so when you push that number, they're going to go knock on the doors and make phone calls and do all these great things because you try to tie some of those bonuses to that. So when you're stabilized, the bonuses shouldn't be on how fast you're leasing or what your lease up is. It should be, okay, how well are we maintaining the current tenant base? And delinquency is one of those things, right? You can't have a ton of delinquency. That crap's going to kill you. So I don't care about leasing at that point. We're already 95% full. Who gives a crap how many times we lease, right? But we do care about how much money's coming in. Yeah, and you try to get tenant satisfaction information too, for sure.
Yeah, that economic loss, I think people don't look at the economic side of it a lot. They go, oh, I'm 95, 96% occupied. I'm doing great. Well, you're not if your delinquency's bad.
Exactly. And then the other thing we look at is on the cost side too. How are you matching up with budget? And so what are the variances and why are there variances? And we try to be a little predictive with it. We're getting better at it, but we're trying to look at stuff earlier in the month. So we're not waiting till you get the financials the month after to determine that we overspent our money the month prior, right? That's dumb. So we try to look at it during the middle of the month. And that's what my CFO's job is, to kind of look and see where, okay, we're already at 80%, 90% target, and we're on day 5. Okay, what the hell's going on? And what do we need to mitigate? And what do we need to figure out? So you do, but that requires a property manager that's willing to sit with you and not enter in bills once a week. They have to enter in bills every day. Yeah. They have to enter in expenses every day because you can't manage any other way, right? You can't manage, the month after. Nobody can manage that way. So you have to enter in the bills freaking every day, or find some sort of system that can enter in that stuff so I know what the impacts are, because it just, it's too late at that point. It's too late to navigate through some of that stuff, right? So yeah. Especially now in this environment when expenses are going like crazy, you have to watch it like a hawk, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it's going to kill your NOI.
And where do you see, what do you think is happening in the market? What do you see happening in the next 6, 12, 18 months?
I think we're going to get into a really scary part where the rent growth can't keep up with expense growth. And it's going to be tough for a lot of owners unless they can build in some efficiency some way, because the expenses are not slowing down. Go get insurance. Go try to pay for a maintenance technician. Go repair a toilet. Seriously, you're spending 50% more on all of those things year over year, right? And so you're just like, how the hell am I? And I can't put, and so it was fine for a while because the expenses were growing during COVID, right? But we could push rents to keep up, right? But now we're hitting the caps. We're hitting those, because everybody thinks this whole, how do you pro forma rent growth and all these other great things? They're like, this is not hard, y'all. You take the average median income and then, that's what they're going to make a month, right?
Yeah.
And you divide by 3. And then, that's what you can charge for rent. right? So that's what you look. So you're looking for higher average median income areas, right? And I'm hanging out workforce housing land. So I know what I can push rents to.
Yeah.
Right. And so so we're getting there where we're starting to get where our rents, we can't push them much more in certain areas, right? In certain markets. So you're looking for markets that have higher income growth, but the wages aren't keeping pace right now. And that's your biggest issue. So what you're going to have to figure out is, okay, I can't change that fact. I can't change that the wages are going to start to stagnate and they're starting to lay off people, right? There's layoffs that have been announced already. And that's when you know, and I hate to say this, but economically, there's no recession that happens until jobs get cut. Like it doesn't happen. But when jobs start getting cut, then then the correction's coming. And so until this, yes, they pumped us full of money. Of course, inflation was going to happen. We all knew this. The dollar was cheaper. Inflation had to happen because it gave us more dollars into the supply. This is like economics 101. But we know that no matter what happens, no recession really kicks in until people start laying off people.
Right.
And I don't want anyone to lose a job. I don't, y'all, like it's awful and it sucks. I don't want you to lose your job, but it will allow the correction to happen that has been way overdue, probably, 2 years, 3 years overdue. And, I'm all those people, I hope you find a job really quickly. I promise, but.
Hey, how long do you think that this recession will last?
I'm hearing from people the consensus right now is 2 years. We're going to pull out of it in 24 is what people are thinking. I think it's not going to be everybody, by the time the talking heads start talking about it, they're always 6 months after it really hitting, So I think it's hitting right now. I think it's starting to hit right now because the job cuts are starting to happen and people are already feeling the pain at the pump and, the inflation things, it's old. So inflation, the percentages of inflation that the media is producing is based off of old categories, right? So it's not real. To us, it's oh no, look at gas, right? To us, it's gas, it's food, it's shelter, right? And those things, those things. I mean, they're looking at automobile prices and they're looking at different things that don't really, to us, really, we don't really give credit about.
It's not on the ground type of data that they're getting, and that's what I like about this industry and being this close to shelter is that you get real time facts, things that are really happening. So
exactly.
So if you were going to give a new investor advice coming into the business today, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say that it's always a good time to buy real estate, so don't be scared. Don't be scared of the rising interest rates. Don't let that stuff. I bought investment properties at 14% interest, y'all. It's if it pencils, right? If it makes sense and you're getting it cheap enough, who gives a crap if you're getting a 14% hard money loan to do it, right? Your out of pocket expense will be less, right? Because they're going to cover a majority of the construction costs, right? If you're doing that type of a BRRRR method kind of thing, that's actually not a bad gig, right? So don't get sucked up in following, the interest rate per se. I mean, mitigate and, and stress test, but I've bought 7%, 6%, 8%, 10%, 12%, as long as it pencils, right? And if it makes sense, then buy it because real estate will appreciate over time. Will there be a correction? Yep, there will be. And is it going to hurt you? Nope. It only hurts you if you sell.
Right.
It only hurts you if you're trying to refi. If you're just hanging on to it, you can ride that wave because it's going to go back. It's going to come back up.
And it always does.
Always does. So, but if you have your druthers and you can hang out and wait, you might pick up some cheap stuff here in about 6 to 12 months. And, I think there's a lot of people betting on that. But you just need to understand that, right? So in 6 to 12 months, your competition is going to be a lot higher. And so depending on where you are in your real estate investing journey, you might want to pick up some stuff now so you gain experience, right? As long as it pencils and stuff, don't overbuy and over leverage and get yourself in trouble. But you might be able to pick up some stuff now because there's distress in the market now. And that way you can build your experience. So when the stuff does come and the blood's in the water and everybody's chasing all the cheap stuff, you might be able to pick up an asset and because you're going to be competing against everybody else. everybody else is gonna be. They all know it's coming, and they're all kind of waiting. So
Yeah.
that would be my advice, especially if you're just starting on now.
I think that's good advice too, by the way.
Yeah.
And I always say, hey, listen, don't be afraid of the market. Just go buy real estate. So,
Yeah.
hey, 3 bonus questions.
Okay.
We wind this morning down, but best book you've ever read?
So best book I've ever read. There's been a lot of books I've liked. Okay, well, best book I've ever read recently because it applies to me because I'm scaling a business.
Yeah.
It's called Scaling Up by Vern Harnish. He runs a consulting organization called the Gazelles. And I like the book because he's like me. He's really blunt. He just gives you the stuff you need to know. And there's a workbook, and it talks about the stages of growing a company from the very beginning, like a startup to a large organization. And what do you need along the way? And talks about you need cash and you need people and strategic things and the things you need to look out for when you're going from small to big. So it's great. And it's just I hate fluff in books. Ugh, it drives me bananas. Like, why did you waste my time with that paragraph? Right? He doesn't write that way. It's real straightforward, real like do this, do that, do this. So which is nice. And he's been running that organization for a while. But I really like that book. If you're like trying to figure out, hey, how do I position myself or what do I need to be? Because a lot of time when you're a CEO, who do you call?
Yeah.
There's no one to call. Right. So you're like, who's your mentor group, right? Is it other CEOs? Well, they might be another different, and that's a good place to go too. This book is helpful, and that's his job. Like he's helping CEOs grow businesses, and so I like that book a lot.
So it's Scaling Up by who?
Vern Harnish, Harnish, I think. Yeah, Vern, Verne. Yeah, and the group is called Gazelles. That's his consulting organization. Yeah. Okay. Great book.
Great. Favorite tourist attraction?
Favorite tourist attraction? Oh, this is a good one. Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. We just went on a tour. That was kind of cool. We just went on a tour to Cape Cod. I'd never been up that way in the Northeast. And we were in Newport, Rhode Island for a conference, which that was really cool. I liked that whole area, especially to escape the heat from Texas. Like y'all, like it was hotter in Hades.
Yeah.
But there was lighthouses all along the way up the Cape. And so that was really cool. My daughter wanted to do that, and we hadn't had a chance to do it. So we went and looked at lighthouses. We like lighthouses.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool.
That's our favorite tourist attraction.
Best restaurant you've ever eaten at?
Okay, that's unfair because I'm in Austin, Texas, and there's so much good food here.
Barbecue or steak?
No, just really good. There's a great French restaurant on 4th Street. There's just this is a really like a foodie town. Austin is.
I love Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some great times in Austin.
So if I had to do like cuisines, I would say French would be Peche, which is on 4th Street. American fare would be Eberly, which is on South Lamar. Eberly is fabulous, and the restaurant's just cool as crap. They have a bar there that they got from Greenwich Village in New York.
Okay.
And there used to be this old hole-in-the-wall bar that like the mafia dudes used to go at, like whatever his name, Malone, whatever is the dude, and like all these people would like go to this one hole-in-the-wall bar, and that the bar itself, they salvaged it. It's just so cool. So they put it in the Eberly as the restaurant. They went and saved it. These guys from New York moved to Austin, and they went and found that bar, and they brought that bar all the way down to Austin, Texas to put it in that location. It's really cool. It's really, really neat. And the stained glass in there is Tiffany, and Tiffany restored it for free because they found out it was because they called the stained glass guy, and he goes, I ain't touching that because that's Tiffany. And so it was really just really, really, really neat. They did a lot of stuff. Like they used the hull of a steel ship as like a skylight. Like it's just cool. It's a cool place. Wow. So that's Eberly. And then, there's so many good barbecue places. Like I can't say one because they'll all get mad at me, but, and just really good food. There's really good Thai places. I mean, there's just such good food here. I
You're
can't.
a foodie, huh?
I
Gee,
am a foodie. I love
I
food.
never thought that about you.
Yeah. I mean, Eddie V's is great for steak and seafood. Trulux is
I've
awesome.
been at EV's.
Yeah, Eddie V's
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
Trulux is great for seafood. Can't beat it. Trulux is awesome. So yeah, a lot of really good places here. Like you could go out every day of the week and try something new. Austin's just cool like that.
Nice. Hey, how do people get a hold of you if they want to reach you?
The easiest way so people remember is that my company's on there. It's tm1properties.com. And that's the easiest way for them. They can like read more about me on my website, but they also can book a call with me or email us or get in contact with us that way. And subscribe to my newsletter and all great things that they can do there. See?
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate this morning. You are always a wealth of knowledge. I learn something from you all the time. So, and I appreciate that. So you're a good friend. And I'm going to move you to the back room. If you hang out with me for a minute, I'm just say goodbye.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Hey, everybody. Great show this morning, right? Great content, a lot of good information. I would go back and listen to this a couple of times because she said a lot of great things about raising capital and asset management and how to scale a team. And I believe that each one of us that's listening to this is building a business and can learn a lot from this morning's episode. Glad that you were here. Remember, we're here every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock Central Time. Tune in, get your fix, tell somebody else about the show. We'd love to have you here. If you need Amy, you can reach her at her website, tm1properties.com. If I can do anything for you, don't ever hesitate to email me directly or pick the phone up. Have a great week, everyone.